talking to your doctor while on the carnivore diet, this is something that can be tricky. So let's get you ready because it can be a bit of a minefield. My name's Mare. I've been a carnivore for 5 years. I'm also a coach. I like to coach people on their carnivore as well as how to get into alignment, not just on a spiritual sense, but also in their body. So let's move into this. With your doctor, whether this is a new doctor to you or you're looking for a new doctor, if your journey on carnivore is new, then you're definitely going to listen to this. There's a good chance that when you go in and say to your doctor that, hey, I'm on the carnivore diet, they're going to go, huh? Or you may get vegan, which I thought was really an interesting response from one doctor that I said that to. I'm like, they went the complete opposite, carnivore. I think we all know that that means meat eaters, right? So the simplest explanation is it's animal-based. It's an animal-based way of eating, and you're going to be eating lots of fat, and red meat is definitely a big factor in that. In fact, eating red meat and beef in particular, it is one of the most bioavailable foods that you can eat. So the more, the better. You can say, I eat butter, I eat high-fat dairy, a little bit of cheese here and there. Yes, fish and eggs are fine. And you don't really need to go that much further into detail. They may challenge you right away and go, well, given your medical history, Mare, like, I have a lot of heart disease on my dad's side of the family. And so I needed to be sure before I even went to the doctor and before I told anyone in my family, including my mom, who was a nurse for 47 years and took care of my dad who had heart disease, I had to be sure I knew what I was talking about, and having the confidence of knowing that it's all okay, that you're not doing something bad for your body, it really makes a big difference when you're talking to others about it, because they're going to have questions and you don't need to have all the answers, but at least have some resources at your fingertips so that you can say, you don't believe me? You don't have to. Go listen to these. Go watch this person. Go read this paper. Go read this study. So keep that in mind, that you're not going to have all the answers, especially when it comes to all things medical. Really, you only need a basic level of knowledge, and that's what we're going to cover today. So when you're interviewing a new doctor, or if you're bringing this to your current family doctor and you say, this is what I'm doing, the best thing to do is to recap your story and your why for doing this. So it was pretty easy for me because I had gone to this doctor for probably 14 years at that point. And she knew, she had walked my journey with me through chronic illness and trying to get answers and trying to figure out what was happening and why I was so sick. And I said to her, I'm like, because of the autoimmune condition, because of the hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome that has to do with connective tissue, there are a lot of people in the carnivore community who have reversed their autoimmune conditions, and there are people who have hypermobile EDS who have used this to help heal their bodies. And I had very specific instances. I didn't necessarily need to bring that and give them, okay, well, here's the list of people that I'm watching on YouTube. But it's important for them to know that you have found other people that are going through the same thing or a similar situation than you're going through, and that they've had success, and that you believe that you are going to have success. And that is why you're doing this. Forgive me, still getting over a cold. So be prepared. I know that when I first went and was having blood tests for annual physicals when I was on carnivore, at one point I actually did print off a study that was all about why red meat doesn't cause heart disease, why eating fat doesn't make you fat, why these things are actually good for your body, and also talking to my doctor about the cholesterol tests and what the new research is on this that is available in the medical community about cholesterol tests. What do you need to know about cholesterol? First of all, it's one of your cellular building blocks. It's something that you need. It's essential. Your body actually manufactures cholesterol, whatever it is that you need. And having excess cholesterol is not detrimental when it comes to your HDL and your LDL. And the thing that we should be concerned about that they don't test for is called VLDL. So that stands for very low density lipoprotein. And the VLDL is damaged. It's been oxidized, and that is what starts causing damage in your circulatory system. They don't test for that. Okay. You do want to keep an eye on your triglycerides. You do want to keep an eye on your total cholesterol, but that's kind of it. The one thing to note about your HDL is that you want to make sure that it is not too low. There's a very good chance you will never experience this problem while you are on a a carnivore way of eating. But your HDL being too low can be an indication of other things that are not working properly in your body, and that you don't have enough of the right kind of cholesterol to help you have normal cellular function and for your body to be thriving. So keep those things in mind. Now, blood tests are a big one for sure. And you should really keep in mind that before you go for your cholesterol tests, you should be doing a fast. And most of the time they will say this is fasting blood work, and they will recommend a 10 to 12 hour fast. Now, the sweet spot for that is actually like 12 to 14 hours. So I usually wait a full 14 hours. I will schedule my blood tests ahead of time so I can plan my day, and then I don't have to wait in line, because I know that a lot of the labs are still super, super busy. So if you can schedule ahead, just plan the night before. I need to stop eating by this time, and then I'm going for my tests in the morning. And if you know you're going to be hungry after that fasting window of about 14 hours, then plan ahead, bring yourself some purse bacon, make yourself, a bag of Carnivore crisps yourself by, it's easy to do in the oven. If you have to bring something portable, or just plan your next meal around that. So it's amazing that depending on your physiology, that even though you ate 10 hours ago, you could still have skewed results. There are doctors who talk a lot about this, like Dr. Ken Berry and Dr. Paul Mason. They are really great at explaining the ins and outs of cholesterol. I really strongly recommend that you watch some of their stuff. Oh, excuse me. Dr. Berry will actually share his own cholesterol tests with you, and he will talk to you about what those numbers mean, what numbers you really need to be concerned about, and how to do the calculation yourself based on triglycerides and total cholesterol, which is what you need to be looking at. So that's probably the biggest thing when I talk carnivore to people. Oh, well, we've got heart disease in the family. I had heart disease in the family. I had to explain to my family that red meat did not cause that heart disease. That is not what caused the problem. And that's actually something that, had my dad known what I know now, he probably would have been super, super happy with a carnivore, or at least a ketovore way of eating, just because it would have given him a really healthy body and helped heal some of the damage that was present. Keep in mind that if you are surrounded by vegetarians and vegans, I love them where they're at. I'm not saying that everybody should be eating meaty meats every single day and nothing but. There are plenty of vegans and vegetarians out there who are doing extremely well. kudos, more power to them. All I know is that the more vegetables and the closer I got to eating vegetarian, the sicker I got. Those were my results personally. And you may have had that experience. There are a lot of ex-vegans and ex-vegetarians in the community, and they've gone that way because for them, their bodies started getting sick after about 5 or 6 years, or sometimes even a little bit longer of being vegetarian or vegan. Now, I'm not saying that's you, and if it's working for you, great, keep doing it. And I was lucky enough to have a doctor who was supportive on my journey and that she was willing to go the distance on this particular leg of it. And after she closed her family practice, we had to go interview other doctors. And this was really interesting. The first doctor that I interviewed to try and get a new family doctor, we started talking and she seemed really excited about my case because complex medical history with, genetic disorder and autoimmune, and I wasn't yet in remission from the psoriatic arthritis or the fibromyalgia. So she was like, I take a really holistic approach to my clients or to my patients, sorry. And that I try and look at everything that's involved, including nutrition. And I was like, okay, well, you should know that I've been a carnivore for at that point, I think it had been 4 years. And she just looked stunned. And she started talking about how there are essential nutrients in the plant world that help reduce inflammation in your guts and help to heal your gut microbiome or something to that effect. I'm not saying she's wrong. Okay. Obviously, she's a very good doctor. She cares a lot about her patients, and she is using her methodology because she's been having success, right? She's been having success with her patients. I know my experience was different, and if I reintroduce plants in any significant capacity, I tried that. And, I tried it just because I wanted to see. That's part of the experiments that I talk about in my carnivore update. It's a big, long update, so grab a, cup of your favorite beverage and buckle down for 45 minutes with me if you want. But it's like, I was not going to be the one that was going to convince her that it was okay for me to be on a carnivore diet because she was already ready to talk me out of it. And by the end of the conversation, we agreed to disagree and that it was probably better for us not to engage in a doctor-patient relationship because we were on opposite sides of the spectrum and neither of us wanted to be convincing the other of our points of view for the rest of our lives. So thankfully, I did actually meet another doctor after that. And she looked at me and said, "Is it working?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Great, that's all I need to know." Unfortunately, that doctor also ended up closing her family practice, which 2 doctors in a year, that was a lot for us to take. And then we found another doctor, and he's been wonderful. He's been very receptive to the whole carnivore idea. When my blood tests came back, of course, he sent me the default, like, this is how you lower your cholesterol sheet. And I reminded him at an in-person appointment that I was carnivore and that having high cholesterol is to be expected on a carnivore diet and that's okay. I'm not concerned. It's going to be okay. So I have the confidence, though, of 5 years of experience. You may not have that under your belt, especially if you're at the very beginning of your journey. Borrow my confidence. And if, don't even borrow my confidence. Go see those doctors that I mentioned, Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Robert Sives, who is a cardiologist known as the carb addiction doc, Dr. Paul Mason. You can find him through the Low Carb Down Under videos. And there are so many more. There's an orthopedic surgeon named Dr. Sean Baker, who is like super weightlifter. Oh my God, this guy is huge. and he eats nothing but ribeye all day, every day. There are doctors out there. There are people that they are seeking out the new studies. They are seeking out the documentation and making that available through their content. So, you know, go do some digging. Go do some digging. And yeah, I know that doctors absolutely hate hearing, well, there's this doctor on YouTube. Okay, I know there's a lot of charlatans on YouTube. There's a lot of things to be concerned about. But when you start seeing that, oh, these people are saying the same, wait, this group of people are saying the same thing. These people have been doing this for over a decade. These people have been doing it for over 20 years. And that carnivore works for these people. I think it's going to work for me too. If they know that you have that belief, even though it hasn't been a very long time, there's a good chance that they are willing to wait it out with you and that they're not going to get all over your case like that one doctor tried to that wasn't even my doctor yet. I've had really interesting responses, like being hospitalized and having to explain to the registered dietitian that I was on carnivore and that I was hungry because they weren't bringing me food that I could actually eat on my tray, because I got admitted over a weekend and all kinds of things. I documented that journey and I never actually released the findings of it, but it was quite funny when raw eggs in the shell showed up on my breakfast tray one day. Yeah. So there's not a lot of knowledge at a very deep level that is available to the masses right now. We're still kind of counterculture in a way. And I really hope that carnivore becomes mainstream, just like keto. Nobody had ever heard of keto. Well, carnivore is just the extreme end of the ketogenic spectrum. If you've watched the short that I released today, my top 3 tips on carnivore and what to do, one of them is just eating lots of fat, because that is your fuel. And the more you stay in a deep state of ketosis, that's when you start really seeing your health improving by leaps and bounds, and your body recompositioning and your skin changes and all kinds of beautiful things start happening. And you're like, what's happening? Am I aging in reverse? What's going on? This is good stuff. Your doctor's not going to understand that at first. You have to be the proof in the pudding. You have to show them. So just keep eating the meaty meats. Keep doing the thing that is making you feel good. And when you have questions, come and see us. The interwebs, we are full of answers and resources. Drop a question in the comments. If I don't know the answer, chances are I can point you in the right direction. And I do refer out to a lot of the other resources that are available, just because they do get further into the statistics and the depth of the science. And, you know, if you want to get down to things on the molecular level, I can tell you who talks about that. I may not, but they will. And I've watched them. And I've watched a lot of people that have talked about the science of carnivore at that level, just because I'm curious and I'm a researcher and I love science. So I really hope that you are all having a good day. I'm really happy that I was able to share this with you. If you've enjoyed this video and you've stayed with me, just like and subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when there are new things that are coming at you on my channel. I talk about carnivore, I talk about spirituality, but really it's all about one thing. It's about alignment and getting yourself aligned with what it is that you want in your life. So aloha everybody, and we'll see you next time.